Hello and welcome back to another Tea Time with me, Amanda Prochaska. I'm here with Winnie the Pooh today, and we are going to be talking about how the ProcureTech world is shifting and how your criteria for selection should also shift with that. So as Winnie the Pooh would say, how lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. And it is time to say goodbye to your previous ProcureTech selection criteria into something that is a little bit more in line with today's market. So let's go ahead and dive in. Grab your favorite drink. We're going to hunker down for the next, 15, 20 minutes and talk about this topic. So let's kick back and enjoy. All right, as I said, we're here with one of my daughter's favorite mugs, actually, Winnie the Pooh. I thought it was appropriate for the conversation today because things are shifting in the world of ProcureTech, which means we should be shifting our criteria for the selection of ProcureTech right alongside it. And I have 3 ideas for you today that might be worth considering as you're going through your selection criteria. Okay. So first things first, what is shifting in the world of ProcureTech? And I'm going to give you an example of this, and this is something that I saw from a partner of ours just last week, and they were showcasing what they can do on the sourcing responses that they're getting in the marketplace. Now, traditionally in the ProcureTech space, you had really 2 different types of sourcing tools. You had your simple sourcing tool where you're going to create a project within the sourcing module, if you will. You're going to upload a spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet either will go into the project itself or it would be just held as a spreadsheet that the particular supplier might be completing. So there's that kind of sourcing. And then there was more of your complex or robust sourcing where you could have 100 different, they were used in transportation, so I'm going to use a transportation example, but 100 different lanes going out to 100 different transportation providers that suppliers that could respond to that RFP. And then you could build in different criteria that I want, these routes to go to this type of company or to the incumbent or to the best of the best. And you could write all these rules. And then when the responses come in, you could hit a button and poof, all of the analysis was done. But it does take a lot of work to set up those structures, to set up that capability, etc. So that's the kind of world that we're coming from. Now, what we're going to is what I saw last Friday, where there was really limited structure set up. You had documents that the supplier could complete and upload. They could maybe submit it through the tool directly, but most of it was we're taking a document and we're uploading it back into the tool. Now, with the AI agents that are out there, basically what they were doing is reading the entire responses, all of those documents, and then summarizing the results based off of your prompts. So you could go in and say, hey, based off of these 100 different lanes and these 100 different suppliers, what is the best of the best? Or what is the best option for these routes? Or if we were to give 60% of the routes to an incumbent and 40% of the routes to the new one, what would that look like? And it would all happen without having to set up all of that criteria. Okay. So what I'm getting down to, and I know it's a long example, but what I'm getting down to is the world of ProcureTech is shifting dramatically. There are going to be many applications that took weeks to maybe set up a sourcing event, and now you don't even have to do that. And with a click of the button, you can get the analysis on the back end. Where it took weeks to analyze your vendor master duplicates, now through systems with a push of a button, you can see those duplicates and that criteria right off the top, and it literally takes minutes to complete. So with that shift, and with, some systems I think are not even going to be around anymore, to be honest with you, because you're going to be able to use whatever type of off-the-shelf or behind the firewall AI application to find the information that you're looking for. So that it's going to shift dramatically. And so therefore, criteria needs to change quite a bit. And the 3 examples that I have here, or recommendations that I have here, are probably not the first thing that you're thinking of, but they're really, really important to do, especially as we're going through this change. And the criteria is going to continue to morph as things stabilize a bit, but during this shifting moment, we have to be very clear on what's important as we're selecting these new technologies that are either out there and are going to change quite a bit or are new to market. Okay, so the first one is their roadmap and funding. So I know of techs right now that are releasing major changes every week. Okay, so which is great. Like, that is awesome. And they have the funding to be able to do that. Other companies are taking a little bit longer to shift because they're trying to take this big vessel and move it into a different direction. Whatever that might be, as you're selecting these new technologies, you need to know what their roadmap looks like and how aggressive they're being in that roadmap. And then the last thing is, how are they funding it? Okay, so even the most well-funded applications that are out there right now, usually a lot of them are SaaS platforms, it's going to take quite a bit of investment to shift from what they're doing today to what they need to be doing in the future to stay competitive. So if they're not well-funded, if they are privately held or publicly held, you need to understand that picture of how are they going to fund the shift. If they are a newer player to the market, how are they funding the development cycle to get their product out there, so their solutions out there, and to keep up with the rapid pace of change? The other thing to understand about the roadmap is clearly understanding like where they're going and how that's going to benefit you. But if they are being aggressive, how are you going to strategically support that internally to help keep up with the pace of change within your organization? It is something that you must be thinking through. And if they are a little bit slower to the uptake on the roadmap, then is there a concern about those companies falling behind? So right off the top, this has nothing to do with the clicks and the buttons and even the user experience, which was so important over the last several years. The roadmap and their funding around that roadmap is just really critically important to be asking about as you're working with these players. Side note on this topic, if they are not well funded, they are likely going to be consolidated or merging with another solution provider out there, or they're going to be bought. Okay, so that is also something to keep in mind. Like, if they are really tight on the funding side standpoint, there is going to be a shift in their environment if they're going to remain competitive. So really important stuff to dive into as you are making this selection. All right, item number 2 is relationships with these providers. Because things are shifting so quickly, having a robust relationship where you can influence that change, A. B, so you can keep pace of the change, is going to be a make or break it factor when it comes to your ability to use these systems long term or make the investment successful at a return on investment within your organization. So what does that look like? When you're going through the evaluation criteria, you shouldn't only be talking to salespeople. You should be understanding what value their customer success organization is going to bring to the table, what strategies they are going to help you deploy. And if they're not doing that internally, who are the partners that they're trusting to help you do that? The pace of change is going to only increase. And so as your relationship gets stronger with these particular service providers, these technology providers, they are going to need to be in lockstep with you, because not only is the tech changing dramatically, but your organizations are also changing at a very rapid pace. So there has to be that close linkage together to make sure that your strategies are remaining the same, that you can either adapt yourself by changing the tech and the configuration in the tech, or that you're leaning on a customer value representative to help guide you along the way. So that relationship has to be tight. And if you don't have executive level relationships, relationships with product, relationships with the customer value organization, opportunities to influence the roadmap, then you're going to fall short. So make sure that you're analyzing how you can build a relationship with these service providers and how they culturally align to what's important to you. It is going to be really make or break when it comes to your success at the end of the day. Okay, number 3, think criteria to consider as the part of your top list of considerations when you're selecting ProcureTech these days is the implementation approach and adoption. Okay, now I'm going to pause here because I'm probably going to make some tech salespeople mad, but most tech salespeople just want to get the deal done. So any type of resistance to or obstacles to getting the deal done, they're not going to like. You just say, it's just the nature of the business. They're not doing it maliciously, but that is what they're incentivized to do. And they're taught to do these practices so they can get the deals done. But in reality, even the best solutions out there still struggle with some sort of resistance to the change. Okay, they can be the easiest to deploy. They might only take weeks to deploy, but you still need to think through what value from an implementation standpoint are they bringing to the table. How have they been successful in driving adoption of their platforms, and how did their customers do that? Because if you don't ask the question, most of the tech salespeople will say you don't need training, there's no change management, we've made it so easy that there's nothing going to stop you from being successful in this implementation. I would love that to be reality, but you're dealing with people and people's day-to-day lives and how they were interacting within your organization. So make sure that you're asking the questions around what does it take to implement, and not just here's the implementation time frame, because everyone likes to talk about how quickly they can implement. But in reality, what does it take to drive maximum adoption? And is the service or is the technology provider going to be offering you assistance in that journey? Are you going to have to do it on your own? Or are they recommending a strategic partner, a third party, to help you do that? And if they are suggesting a third party, I would dive in deep around the team that you're getting assigned. Are you getting an A team or a B team? Do they actually know the ins and outs of your business, or are they just going to bring you a playbook and say, here you go, this is what always works, and most of the time it gets lackluster results? So make sure, and again, I'm probably pushing some buttons here, but make sure that you have the conversation about implementation, what it takes to drive adoption, and what are the proven strategies that the customers have used to be successful in that deployment. Deployments are becoming much, much shorter. So as you think about your ability to consume all of the change and your users' ability to consume all of the change, gone are the days of like the 5-year programs, right? Like the old SAP implementations, Oracle implementations that took years to do. I still hear of some of those happening, but they're very far and few between. Now you're talking about 12-week implementation cycles, maybe 26 weeks, maybe 40-ish weeks. So it really depends on how complicated and how comprehensive you're going with your implementation. But the shortest implementation I've seen thus far was actually 10 weeks. Okay, so you don't have a lot of time, but you still need to make sure that you have the adoption, and it's not just you're deploying a technology that no one's going to use. So you have to have the right strategies, the right partnerships, the right future vision of the roadmap to truly be successful. So let me recap the 3 different things, and there's subtopics in each of these. But funding and roadmap is number 1. Relationship and customer value managers, number 2, having that tight relationship and the ability to do so. And then number 3 is implementation and adoption strategies, going in deep there. if you can accomplish and feel really good about those 3 areas, then look at the clicks and buttons and user experience and if they have all the functionality. But they need to get past those 3 first before I would even look at the functionality. And the reason why is the functionality is going to change, again, dramatically. If these companies are going to survive, what you saw back in October is going to be completely different by the time you implement, if they're doing a good job. So it's less about the buttons and the clicks and everything like that, and more about these 3 areas that you must have to have a successful ProcureTech selection and implementation at the end of the day. So with that said, I hoped you enjoyed this journey we were on together with Winnie the Pooh and all of this fun talk about ProcureTech. But I am Amanda Prochaska. I'm the founder and chief wonder officer of Wonder Services. We help companies solve the problem of change adoption and help them with their procurement strategies and procurement operations. So if you have a need in that space, we would love to talk. But until then, grab your favorite drink, kick back, hit the subscribe and like button, and we'll be back here soon with another tea time. Hopefully that's providing value in your day-to-day life. So cheers, and until next time.